Hey, I got in a back and forth with a commenter named War Video, and if you're watching this video, War Video, good, I hope that you do. I want to clarify those last comments, and I appreciate, by the way, that you're very civil and straightforward intellectually in our exchanges back and forth. I know that can get difficult. Um, so uh, it's funny because the last comments in our exchange, I felt it was a really useful exchange to me because it helped me get a really, what appeared to me to be a very lucid, clear idea and statement of my idea. And then after I did that, you're like, I'm not even sure what you're saying. And this is a common experience for me that I'll get some idea really clearly, and then I'll state it, and I'll be like, wow, I finally managed to state that thing in, a couple paragraphs. Wrapped my head around it. It's awesome. And then people will be like, what the hell are you, huh? And it's funny, I kind of know why that happens. There's various reasons that could happen, and I have my beliefs of which pertain. But I want to clarify what I was saying. At first, I'm going to go back. I made a video a long time ago that was a deal for market anarchists. And the idea is that, well, what if we just privatize the U.S. government, make it a private organization? All the citizens are stockholders in that corporation. The corporation is joined and gives the same rights to the stockholders that it's been giving to citizens. And if we did that, then what would be the market anarchist complaint? Because we'd have a private organization, and a private organization can protect its property and can charge you taxes, and it would be a fee and so on. And the only thing missing there then from between that and a market anarchist utopia is that citizens have to be able to leave. We have to give them the ability to freely emigrate. Right now, a nation can pretty much stop you from emigrating and can control that, and we would have to change that. But it'd be a lot easier to change that than it would be to change the human race so that it neither wants nor needs things like traditional police forces. Okay, but there was more to my offer than that. I'm sincere. I would support such a thing. Obviously, I couldn't make such a deal for the whole nation, but I mean, I would support it. If there was a constitutional convention, I'd go there, and I might argue on the market anarchist side if that was the deal they were saying. They're saying, well, let's just privatize the government and get a situation where there's a market of governments and I can go choose another government and all of that. But there's more to it, because I basically think we are in that situation. Okay, now, not everybody should follow this as well as a market anarchist or objectivist should, because you understand what I mean if I say that there really is no authority to govern. There's no authority in the land to govern that's just waiting around for some group of private individuals to take that helm and pick that up and then have that authority. I mean, what I mean is this: roll back the history of the United States. What do you have in the beginning of the American Revolution? Is a bunch of guys, British guys, getting together and making an organization that is going to attack and fight off and destroy the power of the British Army in the United States territories, what became the United States territories. And that is obviously a private organization. It's a bunch of people of their own free will making such a private organization. And that organization managed to acquire a lot of property. One, by taking it from the British, liberating it from the British, by buying it from the French and Russians, by stealing it from the Native Americans. Um, it's not all moral acquisitions, but on the other hand, it was traditional, right? Groups of men had banded together and done this kind of thing for thousands of years. And the fact is, they acquired this property in these ways, a mixture of illegitimate and legitimate types of uh, acquisition. Okay. At what point would such a private organization become a public organization? Just because it claimed to? Just because there was no other similar organization powerful enough to make the same claim and and uh, and and like show its force? So the fact that it was strong enough to make that claim means it really did make that claim? I mean, no. Kings claim to be, they won their nation with soldiers and then claimed to be descendants of the gods. They had the power to do that. Nobody really had the power to force them to stop claiming that. And yet they never were really descendants of the gods. Private organization isn't really a public organization, right? Where is the transition? Where does that private organization of a bunch of guys fighting the British military and taking property in various ways, acquiring property in various ways. I mean, they also had the property of all their guns and their uniforms and, all of all of this property that they acquired. How does that become a public institution? I mean, they weren't fully supported by the colonists. About a third of the colonists were loyal to the British, and another third were like typical, swing voters we still have. They're like, whatever, I don't know, whatever. It was a private organization. And how, in a market anarchistic or objectivist or libertarian way, could this private organization become a public organization? It could claim that. It could be powerful enough that nobody could really, uh, demand they stop making that claim. But, or at least not force them to comply with such a demand. The answer is it never would. It's still a private organization. Then along come your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents or whomever, unless you're a Native American. Let's just say your parents. And they decide to move to America because America has said, listen, anybody that wants to join this organization can come, join it. They'll have access to our shared property. They'll have access to our shared systems, like our security systems, which will ensure them some rights within this cooperative. They will also, we reserve the right to charge fees and taxes and to make other demands on people. For example, we may demand you to help protect the shared property. And your parents accepted that. They didn't even just abstractly. This isn't some social contract that was never signed. They signed it. They signed their oath to the Constitution. They signed their oath to follow the laws of this cooperative. And now on their deathbeds, your parents hand you the deed to their house. And you take that deed and you say, this is my house. The U.S. government has no claims. But the deed itself, it only has authority within that cooperative. That property was never given to another cooperative. It was always considered a United States territory. The U.S. military would always defend an invasion of that property. It always was the sublease. Always was the sublease. And yes, when you pay taxes on your real property, you're really renting it from the government. Okay, and that's, oh my God, but it's my deed. No, your parents came over and got that property under the auspices of an agreement that you now seek to break. And if you join a country club and you have locker number 13, that's your locker, a lifetime assignment, and you decide you don't like that country club anymore, you're not going anymore, you don't get to take the locker with you. You'd be lucky if they let you take the name tag. It's all dependent on what your agreement was with that property cooperative. So you can leave the system, right? You can leave the system, but for you to say you want to reinterpret what the property deeds mean, and you want to reinterpret your obligations to this private organization that owns this property that allowed you to co-own it, you want to break all those rules and change all those rules. And I don't see how you can do that. I don't see how that's any different from a socialist trying to take property from one person and give it to another, saying, well, we're giving it to all the people. No, we're giving it to the people that are actually going to control it. And you see that kind of nationalization. One of the problems is the people in control of the organization, once it's nationalized, don't run it for the people. They run it for their own private gain, just like the original owner was. And so we see that as a theft, right? Don't market anarchists pretty much see such nationalization as a theft? Well, it's a theft in the other direction, too. Okay, so you don't approve of the way the United States got some of its property. Neither do I. Okay, neither do I. But that doesn't mean that you can steal it. You aren't a claim holder. You aren't one of the Native American claim holders that was violated in principle and moral principle. No, you're the descendant of someone who came over deciding to be a part of that system. Someone who came over and said, yeah, I'm all for it. Make me a U.S. citizen. I'll sign on the dotted line. I'll have the chance to go buy some of this property, and it'll mean that I have to pay taxes on it, and the public roads will go to it, and the Army will protect it. And you took this whole package deal, and you were born into it, and you don't think you have to accept that deal. And